What? What? Come on. Come on. Did you really expect me not to do something? Did you? Did you really expect me to not do something? My God, man. My God. My God. This guy had quite the day this past Thursday. You know what? I don't care what anyone says. It could not have happened to a better character or a better game. I'm sorry. All right, with that out of the way, welcome back to my end of the year stuff. My God, man. My God. With the Game Awards finally over, it is now finally time for me to review my bold predictions that I made around the end of last year for this year. So, I made a lot of bold predictions at the end of last year. Luckily, I still have them because I keep them until the end of each year. I made four. I made four bold predictions for 2024 at the end of last year. And let's just say I struck out. Completely strike out. Is there such a thing as strike 4? No, there's not. But you get the point. Although there is kind of a asterisk and kind of a but when it comes to one of these, and it's still technically an ongoing situation. And at the end of the day, I may end up eventually being right. But we'll talk about that when we get there. So, the end of the year is here. I made four bold predictions at the end of last year, at the end of 2023, for 2024 that I honestly and legitimately thought would happen, or at least seemed the most likely to happen, or at least things I thought would happen. It's kind of why they're called bold predictions. Obviously, they're just predictions that I kind of felt made the most logical sense at the time, or I felt they made the most logical sense at the time. Clearly, 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 I may have. I'm not really sure the right way to put this or the right way to say this, but basically, I may have lost it when it comes to being able to predict things well anymore because I used to at least be able to get a couple things right. I'm still shocked that I correctly predicted that one year when Kingdom Hearts 4 was revealed. But I have not done so well since then. I did okay last year. Not great, but okay. So things have not really been going well for me when it comes to my bold predictions, but each year is different, obviously. Each year is going to be different, obviously. And each situation is going to be different. So, what were my bold predictions? Well, let's go over them and let's discuss if I got them correct or not. I've practically already told you because I said I got four strikeouts, but we're gonna go over them anyway because otherwise there's no point in me even sitting here and doing this. So let's see here. Yes. Bold prediction number one. I lost the image from last time. I'm sorry. This is what happens when a full year goes by, but this is still technically a fake image. Bold prediction number one was the next Nintendo console will come out. Switch 2 or whatever it ends up being called. Release will likely be holiday 2024. Too many reports about it. There were at the time, there were at the end of last year, but boy, have things quickly changed. Boy, have things quickly changed. So obviously, this is and was incorrect. It's December 14th. They're not going to release it by the end of the year. So it came out and it was reported, revealed, however, whatever word you want to use, that the Switch 2 was internally delayed, as I say that in air quotes, um, until at some point in 2025. Nobody knows when. It's all just speculation at this point, obviously. There are still people who are claiming March of 2025 to sort of go along with when the first Nintendo Switch came out, which was March of 2017. Yes, that long ago. But there are also reports that it may not release until May, June, or July. And there are also others saying not until fall or holiday of 2025, which I personally think would be a massive ass mistake. If you really want my brutally honest opinion, I think it was a massive ass mistake to not put it out holiday of this year, because Nintendo would have made a shit ton more money if they put it out holiday of this year, because it would have been the big holiday item. Because every year there's always a big holiday or Christmas item or toy, or however you want to put it, that parents find it impossible to find and go to some shocking lengths sometimes in order to get it, or to have it to give to their children. So this would have been the big holiday item, and they would have made a shit ton more money if they had put it out holiday of this year than March or May or June or July or whenever the hell they choose to release it next year. But that's just me, okay? That's just me. I am not at Nintendo. We all know that they are going to do whatever the hell they want at the end of the day, and that's really the sort of moral here. That is the point here. Nintendo is going to do whatever the hell they want. They always have, they always will, and that's all there is to it. The excuse, air quotes again, that has been given is that so they can have a lot or enough first party launch titles to release alongside the console's release. And I'm not going to try to sit here and try to argue that they shouldn't do that, okay? I'm not, because that would just be outright stupidity. It would be very dumb of me to try to do that. It makes sense, okay? It does. It does make sense that you want to have a lot of big first party games to come out alongside a new console release. That's what PlayStation does whenever a new one comes out. Hell, even if they have given up, in my opinion, that's what Xbox tries to do when their new consoles come out. They try to have a lot of big games come out alongside it. That's what any console from any company in any time in the past has done and has tried to do whenever a console has come out. They've tried to have big exclusive games for it so it entices you to get it and to buy it. So that does make sense. I'm not going to argue or pretend that it doesn't. Here's the problem, though, that nobody wants to state and nobody wants to point out, or at least most don't want to state and most don't want to point out. If you do not release the Nintendo Switch 2 until fall or holiday of next year, it is going to be massively out of date in terms of specs and technology as opposed to what is available in the market right now. Now, obviously, this seems to be Nintendo's problem. I don't know why, but it does seem to be Nintendo's problem where they will put out a console that always seems to have outdated technology on it. It happened with the first Nintendo Switch and is why a lot of third party developers and third party games are not on the Switch. Although that is also because of the failure of the Nintendo Wii U, so they didn't have confidence in Nintendo. But because of the massive success of the Switch, now third party developers want to make money. Of course they do. Why would they not? So they can put their games on the Nintendo Switch too. So the longer they wait, the more outdated the technology on it is going to become. This is a fact that you may not like to hear and may not want to accept, but a fact nonetheless. So the sooner they release it, the better. I would suggest, again, just me, I'm a dumb random, so nobody listen to me. That's what she should absolutely do. My suggestion, my personal suggestion, is May to July. Honestly, I personally feel like July is even a little too late. But if it releases in July, I guess I'll let it slide. Because it's Nintendo and they're going to do whatever the hell they want. I would suggest May or June. That's my personal suggestion. But that's just me, and I'm not Nintendo. But I was wrong. A lot of people were wrong about this. But hopefully, it should. A lot of keywords here. Finally come out in 2025. When? Only Nintendo knows. Nobody knows but Nintendo. Nobody knows but Nintendo. Oh well, I guess. Missed out on twice as much revenue from releasing it in the holidays of this year, but that's not on me. That's not on me. It's not on me. Bold prediction number 2 was my Pokemon prediction. Well, look at what has finally happened 2 years in a row now. And I'm not going to pretend that it hasn't. Because it has, and it's the bold-faced truth, and I'm going to speak the truth when the truth needs to be stated. Bold prediction number 2 was the 2024 Pokemon game will be a Johto game of some kind. As long as it's not Let's Go, I'll be happy. I would prefer it and like it to be a Legends game, but it'll be what it'll be, even if it ends up being a Unova game of some kind. This is my notes from last year, by the way, that I'm reading off to you, that I saved and did not edit in any way whatsoever since last year. So those are my notes on bold prediction number 2 about the 2024 Pokemon game. It's utterly and completely wrong. Because of the whiners. Even I have to be honest with you at this point. Even I am starting to get tired of saying the same thing time and time and time, and I could go on for the next 3 hours, time and time again, about the whiny Pokemon fan base. I really could, and I have in the past. I am choosing not to this time, but only in this particular instance. Don't count on that continuing. Look, I am not, once again, I am not going to sit here and say that they shouldn't take their time and make sure their games aren't the best games they possibly could be. But like I have also stated in one of my previous videos on my channel, who was it? Who was it exactly that established their little pattern? Oh, that's right. I forgot that it was the Pokemon Company and Game Freak that established the pattern. The games sell. Scream about the problems, quote unquote. Scream about the performance, quote unquote. Scream about whatever you want when it comes to the Pokemon games and the main series Pokemon game franchise and the remakes. Not the fan games and not the ROM hacks. The main series and the spin offs and the remakes. Scream about them all you want. Guess what? They sell. They print money. This is not an opinion. It's a fact. They print money. It does not matter because the casual market does not give a shit. I'm sorry, they don't. They don't give a shit. They don't. And they shouldn't. I was wrong. For 2 years now. So this is where problems are going to end up happening. I still have a Pokemon prediction. Because until I actually see it happen for myself at the likely February 2025 Pokemon Day, Pokemon Presents, until I see it for myself, I'm not going to believe it. I'm sorry. I'm just not. If all of these so-called reports are correct, then I will stop making Pokemon predictions. Okay, I will. I will literally stop making Pokemon predictions. It's gonna make my bold predictions even harder every year, but we'll approach that when it is time to approach that, and now is not that time. We are probably going to get a Johto remake at some point. I don't know when. Maybe we won't now. Maybe we won't. Because, in all brutal honesty, the next remake game is probably the Black and White remake. I'm just being brutally honest with you. The next likely remake is the Black and White remake, whether you want that to happen or you don't. That is the next likely remake. I kind of wish we got something Johto related. Maybe we will. We probably will. We probably will get Legends Johto at some point. Maybe, hopefully. One can only hope at this point, I suppose. But only time will tell. I'm starting to finally be wrong on my Pokemon predictions, and it's because they're listening to the whiny fan base who act like mental 5-year-olds instead of acting like the adult they clearly are. But, let's just move on now because clearly I need to. Point is, my Pokemon prediction was also incorrect. We'll see what happens at the end of the day. Here's a hint. There's still going to be complaints about Legend ZA. I absolutely guarantee that. But we'll cross that bridge once we get there. We will cross that bridge once we get there. And once it is time and necessary in order to do so. Tired of seeing this image yet? Well, this should be the last time, hopefully, until I actually get around to playing it myself and my 2 years behind backlog, but it's sad how true that is. Bold prediction number 3 was that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will get DLC. The directors and producers and developers of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth literally came out and said, we're not making DLC, we're moving on to part 3. That's what they literally came out and said. I don't have it, and I don't have it pulled up, and it would probably take me way too long to find it. But I am not stating misinformation here. They literally came out and stated Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is not getting DLC. You know what? That's fine. That's fine. I'm okay with that. The more they focus on part 3, the better, especially after what happened on Thursday. Big oof. Big rip. Now, would it have been nice to get something Vincent related? Sure. Sure, you could make the argument that it would have been nice to get some kind of Vincent DLC in the form of the Yuffie DLC from Remake Part 1, which was just Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, but you get the point. Yes, it would have been nice. But I can't help but feel like they might end up doing some kind of Dirge of Cerberus type remake in the form of Crisis Core Reunion at some point. Maybe they won't, especially after they came out and stated that they're only going to focus on major titles, more air quotes. So maybe they won't do anything Dirge of Cerberus remake related, which, you know, that game in its own right has a lot of mixed opinions on it as well. I liked it, but that's just me. But you know, it is what it is. There's really no other way to say it. There's really no other way around it. There's nothing else for me to really say. It's probably for the best. Let's be honest. It's probably for the best because of how Square Enix is struggling. Wow, I'm just doing a shit ton of air quotes in this video. And how nothing is meeting their expectations. More air quotes. So, since that is what they want to constantly claim, and since that's what everyone else wants to claim, that they're struggling, more air quotes, it's probably for the best that they just focus on Part 3. Remake Part 3, whatever that ends up being called. Revengeance. No, I don't know. Whatever Remake Part 3 ends up being called. So it's probably for the best they just focus on Part 3. It really is, because the sooner the Final Fantasy VII Remake trilogy finishes, the better. That's just more brutal honesty. So no Rebirth DLC. It's fine. We'll have to accept it regardless. The argument could be made that it's for the best, and I kind of agree with that. It's no skin off my back, because that would have just meant another extra 10 or 20 or maybe 30 hours on top of the additional 100 hours that I'm probably going to spend in this game. So, yeah, it's some time saved. It's some time saved. Oh well. Oh well. Once again, incorrect. Bold prediction number 4 is the interesting one here. It is the interesting one here. Because if you recall, last year, or you could literally go back on my channel and watch it, because it's literally still on there. I had a fake image to represent this one, but if you can't tell here, I actually have an article this time. Because do you remember in one of my previous videos, when I said, with a couple of weeks before I have to start my end of the year videos, of course this would happen, something ended up coming out about one of my bold predictions potentially being correct. Well, it's this one. because bold prediction number 4 was PlayStation will respond to the Microsoft Activision Blizzard King acquisition with an acquisition of their own. Who will it be? Who knows? Could be Square Enix, could be CD Projekt Red, could be Konami, could be Ubisoft. This is literally from last year. You can see how outdated this is. At the end of the day, it's inevitable that they respond to the acquisition with one of their own. And look what is currently ongoing. This is the most recent article, but a couple of weeks ago, it was rumored and reported that Sony was looking at acquiring Kadokawa. They are the parent company of everyone's favorite Souls game making developer, FromSoft. Well, I don't play their games, but you get the point. And Kadokawa then came out later and confirmed it. And now we have this. Sony has also now confirmed their intention to acquire FromSoft parent company Kadokawa. I'm not going to read this whole article, but the point is there are ongoing acquisition talks between Sony and Kadokawa. Now, Kadokawa also has some anime and manga grips, and there have been arguments about Sony having a monopoly on the anime industry. I don't know if this is obvious. I've tried to make it as obvious as I possibly could, but I am not an expert. I've learned a lot about gaming and the gaming industry from articles and YouTube videos and hell, even Discord. I've learned a lot. Am I an expert? Hell no, I'm not an expert, but I've learned a lot about the gaming industry. When it comes to the anime industry, I don't know shit. Brutal honesty. I don't know shit. So is it a monopoly? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. I've seen arguments that it is a monopoly. I've seen arguments that it is not a monopoly. I do not know. But do you want to know a little tidbit here about acquisitions that you should have learned, that everyone should have learned and should know by now, and they probably do, but they want to keep going like, it shouldn't happen, it shouldn't happen, it shouldn't happen, it shouldn't happen. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck what you think. They don't give a fuck what you want. They don't give a fuck what you think should happen. They're going to do whatever the fuck they want. And that is it. That is what they are going to do at the end of the day. Whatever the fuck they want. Whether you like it or not. Whether you think it should happen or not. Or whether you want it to happen or not. Simple fact. I am not sitting here saying that Sony should acquire Kadokawa and FromSoft. I'm not saying I want it to happen. I'm not saying it should happen. I'm not saying it will happen. I see a lot of arguments that it shouldn't, and I understand that, and I get that. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen whether we like it or not. Hell, look at this part right here. Some Kadokawa employees are reportedly excited about the prospect of an acquisition. Insert that meme here with that old lady saying, "Honey, you've got a storm coming." That's for a different topic for a different day. The point is, whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Technically, as of the date of the recording of this video, I am incorrect. It still has not happened. And you could make the argument that Kadokawa or From Software is not in any way, shape, or form as big as Activision Blizzard King. And you are correct. But Sony would literally, and you know they would, be honest, would literally treat it as their version of the Activision Blizzard King acquisition. You know that's what would happen. And it would. It literally would. Especially when we're talking about From Software. They're going to do whatever the hell they want at the end of the day, and whatever is going to happen is going to happen. Nothing has been announced and nothing has been confirmed as of yet, as of the date of this recording. And this article was from 2 days ago. So, because of the fact that it's December, and you know, all those holidays are coming up, Christmas, New Year's, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, all that stuff is coming up. I would not expect an announcement of an acquisition this month. Maybe at the beginning of next year if it happens, but they're probably not going to announce it before the end of the year. They could. I'm not going to act like they couldn't. But because of the holidays and stuff, it wouldn't make a lot of sense. Although, obviously, when it comes to layoffs, people don't give a shit and they'll lay people off on Christmas Eve, like the Scrooge they literally are. It's sad how true that is. So anything can and possibly will happen, but I don't think it will happen, but it could happen. But as of the recording of this video, I am not correct on this. But just like with my still previous bold prediction that I still believe in about how Cartoon Network and Toonami are going to disappear at some point, maybe not overnight, although that is still a possibility, that they are going to disappear at some point. I think this specific bold prediction that I made about Sony responding to the Microsoft Activision Blizzard King acquisition with an acquisition of their own will be correct eventually. It may be a sort of more than 1 year situation, like the Toonami and the Cartoon Network situation has clearly become and clearly turned into. So this is another sort of bold prediction of mine that may be a multi-year situation that over time may end up being correct eventually. At least that's just what I think, because if you really want to know my brutally honest opinion, and I'm going to say this one more time, we all know how much I hate being a broken record. I don't want it to happen. I don't think it will happen, and I don't think it should happen. And I'm not saying that I want it to happen, or think it should happen, or want or believe it will happen. I think it's going to happen. Is it good? No. But I think it's going to happen, whether we like it or not, and whether we want it to happen or not. But I could be wrong. I hope I am wrong, okay? I do. I hope I'm wrong. It just feels like it's going to happen. That's just what it feels like. That's the feeling I have and the feeling I am getting. But we'll see. We'll see. This is an ongoing situation, but right now, as of this moment, as of the recording of this video, bold prediction number 4 is and was incorrect. So there you go. Strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, strike 4. All of my bold predictions were incorrect. I sucked this year. But that's why they're just predictions. They're literally that's literally what predictions are. You're just predicting something that you think will happen, and then over time we find out if it's correct or not. So, oh well, maybe I'll do better in 2025. We'll see. Maybe I won't. That video is for a later time. But once again, just as a brief summary and a brief overview, bold prediction number one was that the next Nintendo console will come out, Switch 2, or whatever it ends up being called. That was incorrect. Bold prediction number two was that the 2024 Pokemon game would be a Johto game. That was incorrect. Bold prediction number three was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will get DLC. That was incorrect. And even though it's still technically ongoing, bold prediction number four was that PlayStation would respond to the Microsoft and Activision Blizzard King acquisition with an acquisition of their own. That is still incorrect, but it is still an ongoing situation that could change at any given moment. So we'll see. So yeah, my bold predictions sucked, but that's why they're called predictions. Wow, imagine that. All right, I've gone for almost 40 minutes. The bold predictions ones take longer. Sorry, they just do. Because I have to talk about them and discuss them. So, and give reasoning and all that stuff. So, but I'll finish up here so it doesn't end up being too long. So those were my bold predictions for 2024. All of them were incorrect. One of them still technically being ongoing, but they were all incorrect. So we'll see how well I do for 2025. But that's later. This next upcoming week, I will reveal my final list, my top 3/4 list of my personal anime of the year and my personal game of the year. I just felt it was too soon or a little weird to be revealing my final list before the Game Awards. So that's why I decided against it and changed plans. But now that the Game Awards are over, it's final list, it's top 3/4 list time. So that's next. First up, my final and top 3 and 4 personal top 3/4 anime of the year. So my personal anime of the year for my final list. So until then, this is Mega Champ saying next time I'll be providing you with more unlimited guidance. It couldn't happen to a better character or a better franchise or a better situation in general. And this situation will probably and literally never happen ever again. Congratulations. You fucking deserve it. You deserve it. Clap, 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 clap. I'm sorry. All right. Bye. He deserves it. Okay. Bye.